People frequently want to know, what do you eat specifically? Well, I eat a lot of things, but the other day Benedicta and I sat down and discussed my top 10 go-to foods that, number 1, keep my glucose low, and number 2, I enjoy, and they make my diet sustainable. I intended that video to be one episode of Beat Diabetes, but we just went on too long, so I cut it in 2, and on today's program we'll hear my top 4 foods and treats that I depend on for my diet, which keeps my glucose in the non-diabetic and the non-pre-diabetic range. Just to recap, on our previous Friday's program, we did a countdown of my favorite go-to foods that make up my low-carb diet. We covered the numbers 10 through 5, and the foods were these. Coming in at number 10 were cheese and nuts, number 9, chicken, 8, strawberries, number 7, the low-carb coconut and almond flour pancakes, number 6, low-carb tortillas, and number 5, eggs. Today we'll hear the top 4 foods that I love and depend on to keep my glucose low. They're all relatively low carb, and Mike the blood sugar meter has put his stamp of approval on every one of them. They do not spike my glucose excessively. There will be several links in the description and at least one recipe, so check that out. Now, I'm not saying that these foods are the best foods nutritionally or even the absolute lowest in carbs. I am saying that I love them, I eat them often, and they work for me. So let's go now to the top 4 countdown. All right, let's get on to number 4. Drum roll, please. And what do we have?
Salad.
Salad. Well, I like salads. Now, I'll be honest. A salad, if you just throw in some greens and a few vegetables, is not real exciting. Okay. But my tip for making your salads more exciting is jazz them up with some extras. Put some strawberries in there, like we do. In fact, you've been making some great salads recently. We've been having them
I've been
for
giving
lunch.
him a whole lot of new style of salad.
And we had avocado in there.
Yeah.
And we had nuts or sunflower seeds sometimes.
Right.
Strawberries.
A lot of things, you can't even count them.
Some shredded cheese. Really good. So when you think of a salad, sometimes if you're just thinking, all right, I'll take some iceberg lettuce and I'll, put in some tomatoes, bam, there's my salad. Well, that's not too exciting. But if you throw enough ingredients, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. The other tip I will give is it's normally if you can do a keto-type salad dressing, and there's all kinds of recipes for those, and there's one that I use that I'll probably make a video about at some point. You can avoid the soybean oil, because if you go to the store and look at all the salad dressings, they almost always say, number 1 ingredient, soybean oil. And vegetable oils and soybean oils they have a terrible reputation as being just not good for you. And most of the people I read and respect, they all condemn vegetable oils, soybean oils, and say stay away from them. They're just not healthy. So if you can do a homemade keto version of a salad dressing, you'll be better off. But salads give you the nutrition that is in plants and in vegetables. Okay. I still believe in that. I know, we've got our carnivore fans, and they just say you don't need it. I'm not totally convinced of that. And so I try to eat salads every week, and often at least once a day, but not always.
Yeah.
Number 3, drum roll, please.
Number 3, Bulletproof Coffee,
Bulletproof Coffee.
Yeah.
Now, some may argue, well, that's not even a food or a snack. That's just coffee.
It's a drink.
But we put cream in it.
Yeah.
We do. And we put butter in it.
Right.
And the first time that I heard about Bulletproof Coffee, I thought, that doesn't sound right. Butter in coffee. Who puts butter in coffee? But I tried it, and it was good. And I actually enjoyed it. But the big question is not whether it's enjoyable or not. I mean, it helps that it is pleasant. Yeah. But the big question is why? Why in the world would anybody want to have Bulletproof Coffee?
That's a good question. Why?
Why indeed? Well, normally I use it as a substitute for breakfast. Yeah. And the cream in the coffee and the butter it's virtually all fat.
Right.
And fat is the most satisfying of all the macronutrients. It's more satisfying than protein. It's more satisfying than carbs, and it lasts longer. So I can have Bulletproof Coffee at 9 and just forget about eating any kind of a crunchy kind of a breakfast where you actually have to chew it. And I'm good till 12:31. Sometimes I go till 1:30 and I forget that I'm even supposed to be hungry and I'm busy working. And suddenly I look up at the clock. It's like 1:30. I'm like, sweetie, where's our lunch?
I make lunch and call you sometimes.
Sometimes.
Are you telling them that I don't make lunch?
No, I'm not saying.
I make lunch.
All right, let's move beyond that. So anyway, Bulletproof Coffee, you're getting calories from fat. So if you're skinny, you're going to get some calories. You're getting a satisfying meal, and neither the butter nor the milk, or if you use coconut oil, it's just not going to raise your blood sugar. Some people argue, all right, it probably provokes a little bit of insulin. If it does, it won't be much because your pancreas is not dumb. It's not going to shoot out a huge amount of insulin when it knows all you're ingesting is fat. So almost no blood sugar rise, very little insulin rise, and your body just marches right on up through lunch. You can get that 6-hour window very easily with the Bulletproof Coffee for breakfast. Have your lunch around 12:30, have your dinner around 6:30, bam, you're good for the day. Yeah. So it's an important part of my life, and I've been drinking Bulletproof Coffee for years now, and it's just a valuable part of my toolkit, I guess you could say, my keto toolkit. All right, did you want to say something?
I wanted to say that, it took me time before I tried a cup of that Bulletproof Coffee, but when I tried it, I kind of loved it, and then I started drinking it with you.
Yeah. She's become a convert. She doesn't convert to everything that I encourage or do, but she has become a convert to the Bulletproof Coffee for sure. Now, we're in our last two, so these are going to be the top two. The top things that I just find fantastic.
What are they?
Let's just see what they are. Number 2, drum roll, please. What do we have?
Mug cake. That I don't eat.
Mug cake. She's not a big fan of the mug cakes. I think they're terrific.
Oh my God, mug cake.
There's 3 kinds that are my go-to mug cakes. One is the strawberry on top. And then another one is the chocolate version.
Right.
And then the third one that is a newcomer. We did a video on mug cakes. And by the way, if I'm saying it too fast, it's MUG. Somebody wrote in a comment about what about these mud cakes, MUD? And so they're not mud cakes, they're mug cakes because you can make them in a mug or in these little white containers. I forget what they're called. But basically, to make mug cakes, you need 2 main ingredients and then a few smaller ones. You need almond flour and you need coconut flour, at least the way I make them. And so we have the chocolate version, we have the strawberry version where you mash up some strawberries, put it on top. And then the third one, which I just have come to love really more than the other 2, is the pecan pie version.
Oh, yeah, I've seen you make those a lot.
And there is a maple bourbon something else. I forget what it's called. I'll list it on the screen. A syrup made by Skinny Syrups. And oh, that is good. You take some butter, about a tablespoon of butter, you put it in a mug or a bowl, and then you put about a 1/4 cup of pecans, which I love pecans anyway. Throw them, first you melt the butter, then put in the pecans, and put in a tablespoon of this maple bourbon syrup. There's another ingredient, but I forget it right now. You put that in there. You mix it around. You put it on top of your cake. And then I put some whipped cream over it. I don't know of any dessert I ever ate back when I ate sugar that's as good as that. I mean, I really like it better. So now here's one thing. Why these mug cakes are important is the sustainability of the low-carb diet. That's one thing a lot of people criticize and they slam us for. They say, oh, yeah, sure, it'll work, but nobody can sustain it. Nobody can do it. Well, I've been doing it for almost 20 years now, and I'm more fanatical about it now than I ever was at the beginning. I have less carbs, lower carbs per day now than I did 15 years ago. But one of the reasons I can sustain it, and it's not like I'm tempted, the devil's on my shoulder saying, Dennis, wouldn't you like some German chocolate cake? Dennis, wouldn't you like a big old plate of ice? I'm not even tempted. I'm not even the least bit tempted. But one of the reasons I'm not tempted and that this is sustainable for me is I have sweets from time to time. And I can enjoy a cup of coffee and a mug cake with strawberries or a chocolate version with some nuts on top, or this pecan pie version. And I am so satisfied.
Yeah.
So I just don't need to go back, and I would never go back. No. I just, by the grace of God, I'm not going back. I'm going to cruise right into my 70s and the Lord willing, cruise into my 80s eating this way if he gives me that many years.
Into the hundreds?
Well,
somebody was over 100 here.
It's not really my goal, but at any rate, we're down to number one. The number one food. Can you guess? Now, before you show it, I want you in our audience in YouTube land to pause this video and put in the comments what you think the number one ingredient or number one food is. Now, this is basically according to my preference. So it may not be your number one, but this is my number one. So pause the video, write down in the comments. I think that your number one will be, and then tell, and then we'll see if you're right.
Okay.
Now they've unpaused it. They've written what they think. Mm-hmm. Drum roll, please. What is the number one food for Dennis Pollock?
Pizza.
Pizza, the low-carb
pizza. Okay, low-carb pizza.
The low-carb pizza. And I usually make it one of two ways. I either get one of the low-carb tortillas you buy in the store,
right?
Or I use that homemade version that I got from Serious Keto, Steve guy, and then he got it from somebody in Israel, the homemade version.
Okay.
But one way or the other, they both work beautifully. And smear a little bit of tomato sauce or spaghetti sauce over the top. Put your favorite meats and vegetables on top, just no high-carb vegetables. And it tastes just like pizza. It's good. It's satisfying. Now, there is one difference between we made a video about it.
Yeah.
But when we made a video, we showed using 2 layers.
Yeah.
2 different tortillas with some cheese in between. I don't do that anymore. I've just decided I'll keep the carbs lower by just using one. And one is enough. If I'm still hungry, I'll have a piece of cheese with it or some other little side, or maybe I'll have a mug cake as a dessert afterwards.
Yeah.
So my recommendation is don't do like we showed you in that video. Don't use 2, just use 1. But if it works and Mike approves, then so be it. So anyway, it's not that these are the only foods we eat or that I eat. I do eat other things as well. And one thing I'll say, honorable mention goes, and we didn't list this as one of the 10, to the avocado. I enjoy avocados. They're a nice keto food. They're filling. They have a lot of fat. Why didn't I list them? Well, the reason is they don't keep long. I like to go to the store and pick out something I can buy enough to last me a week. But if I buy avocados, they're all going to ripen about the same time. And I better eat them in about 2 or 3 days or they're all going to be bad. Or sometimes they're as hard as a rock and you got to wait. And then 4 days later, they're all soft and you got to eat them in a hurry. So as a result, I don't eat as many as I otherwise would. But I do enjoy them and they are a nice food.
Right.
So those are some of my go-to foods, some of yours as well. Now, our diet is not identical. As I said, I've converted her in some areas. In some areas, she's still a work in progress.
We eat almost the same things.
But at any rate,
work in progress.
These are some of the foods that I eat. Now, if people like this video and if they like this channel, what should they do, my love?
If you like this video and then you love what we shared, don't forget to comment below and tell us how much you love it. And if this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe for us and click on the little button so that you get the notification each time we post anything. And how
about liking it? Do you think they ought to like this video?
You have to like it. That, thumbs up there, click on it and like it. And We love you, and keep watching, and
see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.